Well, that one's certainly appropriately named. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Starting off the Gibson MOD Collection update this week, we've got the aptly named Hella Yellow. So we've got kind of like a dandelion finish here, but I think what makes this one so unique is the fact that you get the really ringy maple wood grain, not only up here by the F-hole, but then it inverses down here by the tailpiece, and the ES330s are a lot of fun. I told you guys when we reviewed this new model, I was looking forward to see some custom colors. This might not have been exactly what I had in mind, but hey, it's new. I think they should have did a green neck though, and just called it a dandelion. But our headstock's looking bare, and there's a Gibson MOD decal there. But now take a trip over to the Rio Verde. So green and violet is what I'm expecting here, but it just kind of looks like a dark trans black, maybe with a little bit of purple built into it. It's got a decent flame top, not too crazy. Looks like regular ebony fretboard with pearl block inlay. Moving up to the headstock, everything looks relatively unassuming. And oh, okay, there we go. So regular black back at the body, but look at the neck. It's one of them 5-piece maples. However, they've done that thing where they mask off the center stripe as well as the 2 walnuts on the other side and let this be this trans purpley black and then gave you kind of a yellow see-through. We've definitely seen this at least once before, but it's a really cool effect. If you want a stock guitar that came like that from Gibson, the Vivian Campbell signatures from 2018 had a similar effect to them, but with black and gray. Oh wow, this standard 60s looks like a stripped down studio. That bare maple finish hid the binding perfectly. I seriously thought that's what this was because it's got the uncovered pickups, the black plastics everywhere. It looks kind of cheap, but nice at the same time. But you still have your trapezoid inlays with the binding on the fretboard. The headstock looks like they left it black to match everything else. And speaking of matching, the entire back is still black. Makes for an interesting side profile shot. But whoa, they want a premium on that. And it's not because they changed out the pickups for something custom shop either. Kind of heavy too. But I got excited with the title of this one, Artisan Burst. What on earth is an Artisan Burst? Well, it's kind of like a tricolor sunburst mixed with vintage tobacco. There is a Les Paul Artisan model, and some of them came in a similar finish, although I'm unsure if that's where the inspiration of this came from or not. But you've got the numberless knobs, all the fancy binding. It's a Supreme, so you're going to get the Super 400 inlays, as well as your new chandelier headstock. But ooh, that looks nice on the back. Same burst pattern, but only on the body, not complementary on the neck. But if you were still looking for green, we had the Garnet Burst. It's basically a green bursted standard. I can totally see why this one sold with its cream plastics and gold knobs. Nice dark rosewood fretboard to complement it all as well. Regular old black headstock veneer, and that classic red back to match, with a pretty good weight. But if that ES Supreme wasn't your style, they also had the SG Supreme in Verde Gold Satin. Seems like we're throwing Verde on almost all these guitars this week. But it is green with a little bit of gold onto it, and just for some extra golden flavor, they gave you the golden hardware, the golden uncovered pickups, the golden strap buttons. If you even look on your reflector knobs, it's the aged ones. Kind of reminds me of the way charcoal metallic ages for the finish. But no funny business on our headstock. And the entire back has that same new color. Although with the way that reflects the light, I'm curious if that's more of a satin finish. We can confirm that here. This was one of my favorites this week though. The Dry Martini with amber back. I could care less about the drink. I just think this shade of like a TV silverish green mixed with that black border works really well for an Access Custom. And then you also get the chrome hardware just to make it a little bit more interesting. All the binding, ebony board with the pearl block inlays. But they did forewarn you, it's an amber back. I would have loved to have seen a continuation of the burst pattern, but it's hard to make the bursts look good on the Access Customs due to the swoop right here and there and the apex head carve. Now that's not to say it hasn't been done, it just looks a bit strange when they do. But lastly, another standard that I legitimately thought was a studio. They called it Silver Mist, and at first I thought it's like what we've seen before, how they do a black back and sometimes it encroaches over the top to make it look like a higher end guitar, and then they do a silver or some other coloring. But no, now that I'm looking closely, it looks like they just painted your binding a sparkly color? Interesting. Why would they do that? Like on a studio, I get it because you don't have anything there, but here they've just painted over their hard work. because it appears the edge turns back into silver. I'll be curious if they did it on the back, because if we zoom in here, it looks like they might have even painted over the fret nibs the same color, so you might have that on the edges of the neck as well. But let's inspect the headstock. Everything's looking good there. And there's a nice closer look at the binding. Man, that really reminds me of an Antique Natural Spotlight Special, double layered. As far as the back, it's just regular silver. They didn't do any more playing. Although they did change out the electronics to 490R, 490AT. But now the EU mod collection had some fun, including a Black Friday sale. And in fact, this is the first time we've ever seen them actually have this big red box on it, so you know that they're on sale. Some quick math tells me that's 15% off on most of these. As far as the new offerings, there was an SG Special in Tropical Teal. That's an Iomi in disguise, but they put a Firebird mini humbucker in the bridge. You got a regular mini Hummer in the neck. Brand new wrap tail piece with a new finish. Ooh, nice. Matching headstock. But those new tiny little Grover tuners to complement our brand new blue back. I told you there was a lot of green this week. Sage green. A little bit more on the blue side, but then they uncovered your pickups. Did not put a pick guard on it. However, being a 345, you get the cool triple binding on the body. Looks like they upgraded it to notched speed knobs. As far as the headstock, swapped out your truss rod cover. Looks like gave you new golden tuners. And oh, they left the edges natural. But the back still has the paint job. Yeah, that actually looks good. I wasn't a big fan of this one till I saw that. Then lastly, the Forest Ranger is in town. It's kind of a dark green, covered pickups. For some reason, this looks like a really cheap Explorer. But it's not. It's the 80s styling. Doesn't look like they changed anything up here. But okay, I like the side profile shot of the neck. You can see the green as well as the natural rosewood. And in their more candid shots, you could see it's got a very, very slight metallic shine to it. Not a lot, but not quite as flat as it looked in some of these other photos. That is a complete refinish. Top, back, sides, and neck. But now the US demo shop had a couple of prototypes kicking around. The first one was an Earl Scruggs Golden Deluxe Banjo. The theme of all these prototypes is they were charging the brand new full retail price. But I looked through most of these, I didn't really see any major differences between the regular models, so maybe not the most interesting prototypes we've ever seen. However, this is the first Banjo to make it onto the demo shop, as far as I'm aware. But it looks like it had some tuner installation issue there. But it looks like it might have some figuring within the neck, which is kind of cool. I'm devastated I missed this. Prototype Epiphone Les Paul Custom. What's special about it is its P90 pickups. Now I know what you're thinking. Epiphone doesn't make this guitar. Is this a prototype that didn't make it? Actually, you'd be incorrect. While Epiphone doesn't make this guitar for every single dealer, oh my goodness, it even had a Gibson case. Back to my story, it is a Guitar Center exclusive model. But they sell them for $650, but that was definitely a good deal for someone. And then they had a 63 SG from the Epiphone family for $14. This one's kind of hard to see their little proto stamp, but my problem with them stamping them prototype at this stage is how do you actually prove that's what it is? Like that Banjo, I actually went through and tried to track it, the dealer stock photos, and it does come up one serial number after that one, so there's probably multiple prototypes. But at the time of recording, only the Banjo was left. But they listed a whole bunch of new guitars this week, probably a good page full of new ones. What stood out to me was this beautiful SJ200, which is the pre-war styling. I've wanted to review one of these ever since they first came out, so if anybody's interested in a new guitar day on a new one of these, feel free to reach out and we can make that happen. But I just love the truss rod cover style on these, the headstock. The rosewood back and sides, I think that's going to be an acquired taste, especially with the maple neck that has the unique paint pattern, but hey, it's cool, it's fancy. But the lefties had a lot of fun this week. A left-handed Blackburst. We're talking true 1959 reissues. So when you get to the back, it's aniline dyed like usual. You just have the ebony top covering over your flamage. Although it looks like it has a regular serial number, so very possible it was custom ordered this way, and something just happened, like it got this ding and the buyer didn't want it. It's certainly a lot cheaper than the collector's choice Blackburst. But not only that, they had a lefty Les Paul Custom without a pickguard installed in the Silverburst finish. The lefties were eating as well as they possibly could expect to this week. But they also had a Doves in flight. I mean, we've been documenting the bats. I would be interested in putting one of these on the show, even though it's probably going to be about the same as far as the guitar goes. But we'd get to see the Doves in person. This is one of those models. I didn't like it the first time I saw it, but it kind of grows on you. And then sadly just makes other Doves look so plain in comparison. But you can't beat the original Dove. They're such gorgeous guitars. But they had one of those in the demo shop. They also had hummingbirds and stuff. They just weren't quite as interesting. But this standard 50s Pelham Blue had some interesting wood grain on the back. Almost looks like a deformed question mark. Or maybe even a mushroom. But that's some really dark mahogany. They also had one of the Gibson.com exclusive modern Koas. If you're gonna buy one of these and you like this top, I think that's like $1,000 off. So it's a good deal if you wanted this particular model, because they do charge a lot for these things. Yeah, maybe not quite 1,000, but still $3,799 versus the regular figured moderns being $3,000. And last but not least, can you tell me what model this is? I did not immediately guess greeny because that finish is way darker than it usually is. But sure enough, neck pickup's upside down, you get the mix match knobs. It is the Kirk Hammett greeny. That one looks really good in my opinion. And then when you flip it over to the back, you got some crazy grain going on back here too. But then the neck is like painfully plain and straight. Interesting contrast. Well, with that, my friends, I will say good night. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next one. Take care.